And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup from my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people. Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Can you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know. And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup.
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan. And it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest. And I just spoke to my people.
Corruption. We are going to restore honor to our government. In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law.
Tim Kaine in the membrane.
Obviously, shit, fuck, you know, cringe tour, etc., etc.
I like beer. I still like beer. But I did not drink beer to the point of blacking out.
Who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Hello? users, and welcome to another episodic installation of the Gosh Darn, also known as the Above It All program. Welcome. Today is October 29, 2022, and it is a beautiful Saturday afternoon at 12:07 p.m. I am sitting here once again in my room that I also sleep in. Some people call them bedrooms. I call them living rooms. I am alive here today, and I am in a room, but also we have some room for a show to do today. Anyway, got a show going on. This is the Above It All program. It's a goddamn Max, I hear you squeaking. Max. What the heck? Did anyone hear that? Max, what are you squeaking? Look at this dog. What is that? Why are you squeaking? You're a dog, not a mouse. So, we got a show going on today. Today is the Above It All program, and I've got myself some covfefe. And I'd like to give an update from yesterday. So yesterday, I had I don't even know what the fuck it was. I had a crazy fucking allergy attack that lasted the entire day. I took a nap. I took some drugs. The actual medicinal drug. Well, I mean, Anyway, so I took some medication, I guess. And I took a nap, and I feel better. I'm good. I didn't stream yesterday evening because I wanted to sleep instead. But I will be streaming this evening at 5 o'clock for Resident Evil 8. I'm going to see how long I'll play. I mean, I might play for a while. So hop in. And yesterday I didn't stream, so I'm going to make up for it tonight. So I might do a 3-hour stream, 4-hour stream. We'll see if I can finish the game. I don't know how much is left, but, we'll see if I can finish the game in 3 or 4 hours. I'm not sure. But Resident Evil 8, that's cool. Have you thought of investing in a baseball bat? I will not answer that question, but don't you worry. So we got a show. This is the Above It All program. So yeah, I got a show, and I'm doing it. I'm going to be talking about a couple things on today's show. I'm not going to be doing a super duper long program, but I got a horror movie review, all that good stuff. Before I start, I would like to remind everyone, the VOD watchers, that's right, I'm acknowledging that you exist. The VOD watchers, you know what y'all motherfuckers gotta do? Is subscribe to my hot new YouTube channel. And I'm posting some goddamn Doom runs. I posted some this morning. I am 12% of the way toward monetization, so if you want to back me up, that'd be cool. I'm going to be pretty much posting that every day until I get the monetization. So, the sooner you subscribe, the sooner I stop talking about it. But anyway, we got a program. A program. I want to talk about. I have this New York Times article about the Pelosi attack. And, New York Times, the reason why I like to pick on the New York Times is because, this is the quote-unquote paper of record. These motherfuckers take themselves so seriously. Now, again, yeah, there was an assassination attempt on the Speaker of the House. Details came out over the last 24 hours. Yesterday, it seemed like it could have been a random act of violence. It was likely that it was an attempted assassination. But, now we know more info about the person who nearly killed Paul Pelosi, and it's not good. So anyway, I want to read this New York Times article, see what the paper of record is saying about this incident. Pelosi attack highlights rising fears of political violence. The assault on the House Speaker's husband inside their home comes as threats against members of Congress have increased in recent years. So, once again, needs to be underscored that Nancy Pelosi was apparently on a European speaking engagement or some shit. She was going around, she wasn't there, right? So my question, right? And I'm not, I'm not here to, obviously I do not endorse attacking politicians. But, like, my question is, if you decide to assassinate a politician, right? You've made that decision. Part of that decision is that you forfeit your life. You have to dedicate or sacrifice your life to this task, right? So the idea that someone is going to literally sacrifice the rest of their life to try to kill Nancy Pelosi and not even know that she's been in Europe for a week, I mean, like, that to me is... it's indicative of just the right-wing brain, right? Like, these motherfuckers are just so goddamn fucking stupid. So, members of Congress have watched warily in recent years as threats and harassment against them have crescendoed, privately worrying that the brutal language and deranged misinformation creeping into political discourse would lead to actual violence. Privately worrying... like, when was it? 2016? When some motherfucker went into a goddamn pizza place in Washington, D.C. and was asking where the pedophile rape cult was? You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is not new by any stretch of the imagination. But imagine if in 2016 Democrats got their fucking shit together and decided to actually actually fight against disinformation and against Republicans and try to prevent them from having power by any stretch of any imagination. They cannot have any power. But Democrats were like, comet ping pong. Oh, Hillary, is a pedophile, rape, Satan worshiper, and all this, and, it's not that bad. Oh, Pelosi is sacrificing another couple kids. Oh, it's no big deal. And then, oh, no, now all of a sudden, Nancy Pelosi was almost assassinated. So, again, the idea that... I'm not trying to blame Democrats here. I'm not trying to do a victim blaming here. But, like, we've got an entire political party, the Republican Party, that wants to murder everyone else. And again, you might think that's hyperbolic. I present to you the world around us. Read some news every once in a while and you'll see some crazy ass shit. We got Republicans, armed fucking Republicans, guarding ballot boxes in Arizona. We've got multiple instances of election office workers, being threatened, stalked, harassed, having their homes burglarized, broken into, and threatened in other ways. People even go to election offices to assault election workers. And again, Democrats have pretty much not talked about it at all. Why isn't Joe Biden going up there? Joe Biden did this big speech about MAGA Republicans and blah, blah, blah. Why isn't he going out there on a daily basis talking about this stuff? Democrats just don't care. They don't care. And this is what happens when you let this shit fucking fester. And again, I'm not trying to victim blame Nancy Pelosi here, but again, we have an entire party, Democratic Party, that sees and watches what the Republican Party does and just ignores it. And that's a fucking problem. That's a problem. And this is what it leads to. The assault on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, inside their San Francisco home early Friday morning by an intruder who shouted, "Where is Nancy?" and bludgeoned him with a hammer before being taken into custody by police seemed to confirm their worst fears, vividly bringing to life the acute danger facing elected officials and a rise of violent political speech. And it revealed the vulnerabilities and security around members of Congress and their families. Even a lawmaker as powerful and wealthy as Miss Pelosi, who is second in line to the presidency, and has her own security detail as midterm congressional campaigns reach their frenzied final push, nearly 2 years after supporters of former President Donald J. Trump stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, inspired by his lies of a stolen blah, blah, blah. Anyway, again, this shit has been happening for, you can roll back the clock decades, but especially, I would say 2016 is when we hit, the boiling point, and now the water is evaporating, and, whatever was in the pot is now sticking and burning to the bottom of it. That's the part where we're at right now. Quote, when we see things like what happened last night at the Speaker's home, when we see things like plastic kidnapped governors, when we see overt acts ramping up, we see, frankly, a whole host of indicators suggesting that we're really at a crisis point. Oh, you don't say, said Peter Simi, an associate professor at Chapman University, who has studied extremist groups and violence for more than 20 years. Representative Ilhan Omar, a Democrat of Minnesota, who is among the most threatened members of the House, said the attack on Friday was a realization for her and her husband. Quote, we used to theoretically talk about what would happen if they found our children when they came to look for us. What would happen if they found our loved ones when they came to look for us, Ms. Omar said on MSNBC. Now we know. Now, again, these are the same motherfuckers that stormed into Nancy Pelosi's office on January 6th and threatened to kill her. Again, there's people saying, hang Mike Pence, where's Nancy, where's Nancy, where's Ilhan, where's AOC on January 6th footage, right? And again, this is what they wanted to do. right? So, and again, you know, there's all kinds of information coming out about this guy. You can read more about this in the paper of record here. But again, this is such a tepid response, right? Like, the highest ranking Democratic official in the House was almost assassinated. And Democrats are like, oh, yeah, that's so bad. But, like, are we going to talk about disinformation? Are we going to do anything about this? And then also, this also brings up, what can Democrats do at this point? You know, what could they have done 5-10 years ago is a different story, but what can they do now? The genie is kind of out of the bottle on this one. We've got around 20 to 25% of the country that are deranged, fucked up motherfuckers. Now, again, there's only two kinds of Republicans: serial killers, or people that wish they were serial killers and so they vote for other people to do their killing for them. Those are the only kinds of Republicans. That's it. There is not a single other possible, you know, could you imagine for a second here, a Republican that is not okay with killing people that disagree with them? They don't exist. They don't exist. They might pretend to exist, right? But they enact and vote for legislation that, again, they know, for example, when it comes to healthcare, when Republicans go out there, and Democrats in some instances go out there and say, hey, we don't need a universal healthcare system, they know that the poor, the disabled, a lot of minority communities are going to die disproportionately because of that, and that's fine. That is externalized murder in that sense, right? So again, find a Republican that is not either a serial killer, as in they are a killer and they are actively engaged in killing and murder, or someone that wishes they could be, and so they vote for legal methods of execution, right? So again, that's it. There's no other kind of Republican. And by the way, 20 to 25% of the country are those guys. Those fucking guys. What do we do about that? What do we do about that? Seriously, what the fuck? What do we do? I don't know. I have no idea. Now, again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that, of course, this guy who tried to murder Nancy Pelosi was an avid follower of right-wing media, even was a follower of Jimmy Dore. So again, you know, a lot of these people, this guy was a former Green Party guy. He was a Green Party guy that turned into a QAnon guy. And how does that happen? I don't know. Online disinformation is a problem. The internet, I hate to say it, it's real life. It's real. People go on here and they find shit, and then all of a sudden they're fucking crazy motherfuckers that want to murder Nancy Pelosi, right? So again, some crazy ass fucking shit. I don't know what to do about the internet. How do we combat disinformation? Is it possible that just, you know, over the last 100 years, all the cuts and lack of funding to education created this? Were we fucked from the jump? Like when social media first started existing, right? When YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Google all started, you know, really gaining prominence, right? Was it already too late? Right? Like how could we have fixed this? How could we have prevented the spread of disinformation so much? Right? How do we do this? I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea. What do we do when 20 to 25% of the country wants to murder everyone else? What do we do about that? I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. All I know is that Democrats aren't doing enough. Maybe we need mandatory re-education. I don't know. Think about it. What does the average American even know? The average American has like a 4th grade reading level, and they barely paid attention to high school. Like, I mean, if you were to have every American take like a GED test, I guarantee you a significant portion would fail, right? So again, what do we do about this? Mandatory re-education sounds good in theory. How would it even work? How would we go about even getting people to be educated? We live in an anti-intellectual society. That's where we live. We live in a society where the average American not only is uninformed, but the concept of information is like they're allergic to it, right? They actively avoid learning. They actively avoid finding out new information. They actively avoid studying. They actively avoid updating the way that they view the world. What do we do about this? I have no idea. All I know is that we're fucked, and it's not in the good dick way. So that's a shame. Oh. So, a couple of people have shared some clips on how Republicans have reacted to this. I've got two here that are particularly offensive. You know, I'm just going to cover this one because this one is just, I'm going to go off on this one for a while. So Caitlyn Jenner, everyone's favorite person, went on Fox News to talk about how Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi, you know, it's pretty much all their fault. A Republican QAnon nutbag tried to kill them. It's pretty much all their fault. Let's watch.
Why this home wasn't better protected is kind of beyond me. I mean, in light of the status of he's married to, what, the second person in line for the presidency? Seems like Pelosi needs to reevaluate, and especially her security, especially in a violent city of San Francisco. I've spent a lot of time up in San Francisco, and it is violent.
So the Republican messaging on this is, it's a crime spike. Now, if Nancy or Paul Pelosi was carjacked by some random person, okay, fine, right? But this is someone that literally hunted them down based on right-wing conspiracy theories, specifically targeted them. Like, that has nothing. Like, let's imagine San Francisco is the most violent city in the world. It still wouldn't matter. It still wouldn't fucking matter, okay? But again, now, when I talk about this, I talk about Republicans, right? Now, again, there's two kinds of Republicans. Only two. It's a binary. There's either Republicans that are serial killers, which is Caitlyn Jenner, by the way. She has murdered people and gotten away with it, right? So Caitlyn Jenner is one of the serial killer, examples of a Republican. Or those who want to be serial killers, but instead of doing it themselves, would rather elect politicians to do it for them, right? You know, passing brutal crime laws that allow police to basically shoot and murder black people for free and get away with it. They don't even get charged 98% of the time, right? So that's just one example. But Caitlyn Jenner, she goes out there, she's proactive. She is a killer and a murderer, and she's proud of it, right? She got off on murdering someone with her car. So think about it in that way. But anyway, let's keep going. It gets worse.
It's imperative also that we don't make this a partisan issue. This happens to members of Congress of all.
Really? So as it's on the screen, source, suspect shouted, "Where is Nancy?" So a QAnon, Trump supporter, right-wing Looney Tune invades the speaker's house shouting, "Where is Nancy?" Let's not make this a partisan issue. What is the least partisan thing in the world? A Republican nutbag trying to kill the Democratic leader of the House. That is the least partisan thing I've ever seen. What?
All parties, Supreme Court justices, and even people in my family. I mean, living in the celebrity world. I mean, I've received hundreds of death threats, publicly, privately, every day, all the time. And especially, actually, after I joined Fox News, it only got worse. I mean, this is, you kind of take it with the territory of being an outspoken public figure. It is disgusting and it's wrong. Soft on crime liberals.
So it's disgusting and it's wrong 1 minute in. Okay, it's disgusting and it's wrong. By the way, soft on crime liberals. What?
Politicians running to actually defund the police, release violent criminals, and not enforce our laws.
What does a QAnon obsessed nutbag trying to assassinate a politician have to do with defunding the police? Sincerely, if we had, let's say, a year ago, we 50x'd police funding, what are you advocating for? Like a Minority Report style policing? Where if they think someone maybe might commit a crime, we arrest them? How would have increased funding for police stopped this assassination attempt? What? What? What?
When it comes to the criminal justice system, is they're also making law enforcement the enemy of the people. And this has to
so
stop.
like Caitlyn Jenner is just like in total NPC mode, like not like she is like again on autopilot, like, you know, asleep at the wheel and just letting them, like, you know, the Tesla auto driver drive the fucking car, right? Soft on crime liberals, defund the police. I gotta say that. And then the liberals, and then they're soft on crime, and then the police, they were defunded, and then you know, reform on the criminal justice and the criminals, and the soft on crime, and the San Francisco politics. San Francisco Nancy Pelosi is a liberal, and soft on crime, and defund the police. Did I say that? Did I say defund the police? I mean defund the police, or don't you know, that's what they defund. Just say defund one more time. Defund the police, and don't make it a partisan issue. I know it's extremely partisan, but don't make it a partisan issue. Like what? Like, again, it's just all buzzwords. They don't actually communicate in ideas. They don't actually communicate in logic, or it's just all buzzwords. Like, you know, that's pretty much it. Like, that's.
We have a election coming up in a few days. We have to get these people out of office, because the crime wave across America affects everyone. It affects the rich, the poor, the powerful, whatever. Everyday Americans are facing this, and we see it in all these different cities.
Crime wave. By the way, you know, this fucking stupid ass bitch is gonna be the one to talk about a crime wave when she fucking hit a fucking pedestrian with her car and then got away with it. And this fucking stupid ass bitch is gonna be the one whining about a fucking crime wave. This fucking bitch was like at the top of the goddamn tsunami on that crime wave. She loves killing people. Like, again, I don't know what to tell you. The motherfuckers that go out there and kill people are the same ones that cry about the crime wave. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, you can't make it up. I mean, I guess you could make it up, but it wouldn't be as funny.
This crime wave is...
How many times has this stupid ass fucking low IQ moron said fucking goddamn crime wave? Crime wave, it's a wave, and this crime, defund the police is bad, but also the crime wave. There's a crime wave, soft on crime, crime wave. There's a wave, and there's crime, and there's soft on crime, but it's a wave, but we can't defund the police. We gotta, and then there's a crime wave, and, you know, we gotta elect people that for the crime wave, and then the wave, and then the defund the police, and then
been happening for a long time, and voters, honestly, they need to do the right thing when it comes up in just a few days. Another major takeaway is Biden. Truly, he has done nothing to tone down the rhetoric and unite this nation. Violence in our nation is everywhere, and it's at record levels.
So, it's Joe Biden's fault that a Trump supporter wanted to murder Nancy Pelosi? Well, I think I'm pretty much done with that one. But in conclusion,
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
stupid ass bitch. I mean, holy fuck. Holy Macintosh. Reminder, follow me on Twitch. I will be consuming alcoholic beverages and attempting to finish Resident Evil 8 tonight, so check that out. So that's gonna be fun. Got another thing I want to talk about. I mean, this is about a week old, but it's still relevant. I didn't, you know, it's crazy shit. All right, Marla, thank you for that. Use of the N-word jumps by 500% after Elon takes over. I mean, that's not surprising. That is not. Did you see all these these renegades going on Twitter and saying just straight up racial slurs, anti-queer slurs, and just neo-Nazi mantras, right? And then they always follow it up with, "Let's see if I can say it without being censored," right? But then you go on their profile and you search the keywords, right? And they've been saying that shit every week for the last 10 years, Let's see if I can say it now that the censors have left. By the way, the last time I said this was about 8 days ago. I hope you don't remember. God, with so many fucking stupid assholes. Anyway, speaking of stupid assholes, as we further descend into the death spiral of fascism in this country, Donald Trump, the tip of the spear of fascism in this country. Now, again, this is a week-old clip, but, I'm watching it now in the context of Nancy Pelosi's assassination attempt. But again, this is about a week-old clip. But I want to say something about, just right-wingers. They're just dumb motherfuckers, and they lie on purpose. They lie on purpose. Now, again, I want you to understand, right-wing hypocrisy does not matter, right? Saying, "Oh, you said this, but you believe that." That doesn't matter to a right-winger. Right-wing brains do not follow logic, right? They don't even have the same language that we speak, right? When they think of freedom, they think of restricting people's access to healthcare. When they think of freedom, they think of not letting someone, be outside at a restaurant that they want. That's when they think of freedom, right? When they think of freedom, it means, making other people's lives terrible. That's their, again, we don't have a shared language with these people. But a lot of these motherfuckers, they love free speech. Free speech, free speech, free speech. Well, again, this is the leader of the Republican Party, and I'm going to play this clip here in a second, but I want you to really understand, hypocrisy is a tool. It is a weapon, right? When someone says something hypocritical, your brain wants to fill them in on the logical inconsistency. As a logic based person, right? I interact with the world and form my opinions based on a logical understanding of the world, right? When I see things that are when I see someone say 2 + 2 = 20, right? It's somewhere deep inside me. I want to correct them. And that, Republicans know that. They know that logical thought, dictates that people want to help others reach that, level of logic, right? And they weaponize it. And that's why I need you to understand weaponized hypocrisy is dangerous, because we spend all this time trying to correct them and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We need to spend that time knowing how to defeat them. So anyway, this is Donald Trump advocating to arrest journalists. Let's check this out. Free speech.
Easily made public. In this country, they leak all over the place, even on the Supreme Court. By the way, you have to find the leaker of the Supreme Court. You have to find the leaker. You know how you find the leaker? They'll say, "Oh, this is treasonous, what I said." So they can't find the leaker. He leaked all about Roe v. Wade. Look, this person leaked from the Supreme Court. Never happened. You know how you find? But they don't want to mention this because they think it's so terrible.
This guy is I don't know, it's that fucking, you ever do a lot, just something that really stimulates you, right? Some sort of drug, and you just it's verbal diarrhea. This guy's Roe v. Wade. The leaker. We gotta find the leaker. They leaked. Can you believe it? They leaked Roe v. Wade. They leaked it, and we must find the leaker, right? But anyway, it gets worse.
From the Supreme Court, never happened. You know how you find? But they don't want to mention this because they think it's so terrible. You take the writer, because you're never going to find it. They're going through phone records. It's been a long time. You take the writer and...
Okay, so again, I just doing this in a transcript, right? Let's put the transcript on here, okay?
They're going through phone records. It's been a long time.
Okay, this is the closed caption is terrible. So, find the leaker, go through the phone records, takes a long time. Again, these words, they don't even string together any sort of coherent sentence, but...
You take the writer and or the publisher of the paper, a certain paper and you say, "Who is the leaker?" National Security. And they say, "We're not going to tell you." They say, "It's okay, you're going to jail." And when this person realizes that he is going to be the bride of another prisoner very shortly. He will say, I'd very much like to tell you exactly who that leaker is. It was Bill Jones. I swear he's a leaker. And we got him. But they don't want to do that.
But real quick, I just want to talk about, do you remember all of these fucking, like we're talking about, like, I mean, the lowest of the low.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
Like, we're talking about, like that, like the IQ goes through the earth and then comes out of China or some shit. That's how low we're talking about. These low IQ fucking Neanderthals that, like, said that we got to vote for Trump in order to because he's going to free Julian Assange. Does anyone remember that shit? Does anyone? They still do this. That the Republican Party is the party of free speech. So we got to vote for them so that Julian Assange will be freed. Like, I like these, like, how did Republicans become the party of free speech when this is the shit that they do? They advocate to kill you if you're black and if you have an interaction with cops. That they want you to die. If a cop sniffs you slightly or you're on their radar, that's a death sentence for the Republican mind. Free speech, though, right? We have a right to bear arms. Unless you're black, then cops can murder you. But we're in favor of freedom, right? Oh, yeah, freedom of the press. We want to be able to say whatever we want without the liberal establishment censoring us. By the way, I want to arrest the journalist who said something I didn't like. But again, it's on purpose. Right, I need you to understand, there is no fixing these people. Now, again, obviously, the goal, right, should be to de-radicalize as many people as possible. But the more important goal is to stop the leak. Not the Supreme Court leak, but the IQ leak. Plug up the holes. Now, imagine if your ship is sinking, right? Yes, you want to get the water out of the ship. But more importantly, you want to plug up the motherfucking holes, right? We are still at a point in society where so many people are getting further and further radicalized to the right based on disinformation, based on poor material conditions, based on an opposition party, the Democratic Party, that's just perpetually weak and cowardly, right? We're at this point where, like, again, there's so many people getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. Every day, people are getting fucking dumber in this country. Every single fucking day, people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. How do we go about fixing this? I don't know. I wish if I knew, then I would be a superhero, I guess, but I'm not. So I don't know what to tell you. But again, we don't share a language. Like, this is, again, like. And now, I know a lot of people use this argument against immigration or whatever, but just understand what I'm saying. We don't share a language with these people, right? And they're not going to learn. Like, Republicans do not speak English. They speak Republicanese, whatever you want to call it. Words have different meanings, right? Like, you know, like some languages have the same word, but in one language it means something else, and in another language it means something else, right? That's what we live in America. They don't speak the same language that we do. How can we communicate? How can we de-radicalize someone if they don't understand what we're even saying? If it sounds like we're speaking like Japanese to them, how can we possibly de-radicalize them? I am asking, like, what do we do about this? What do we do about this? I don't know. Now, again, I think like mandatory re-education sounds good in theory, but it's not going to work. There's too many stupid motherfuckers. Could you imagine cheering, and laughing and being excited at the idea of arresting people that work at a newspaper because they reported on the news? What? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, again, I ask you this. Where do we go from here? The ideal, like, I don't know, the only thing I can think of is mandatory re-education, right? Pay people to go to school, everyone, everyone, if you are an adult in the United States, I don't care if you're 18, I don't care if you're 80, every single adult, mandatory re-education will pay you. They have paid time off from work. You know, we'll make it work. We can figure this out on a planning level. We pay people to go to school and to learn an updated fact sheet. Again, you have 73-year-olds going out there saying, biology, we don't believe in biology. The transgenders are gonna kill biology. Right? They don't know what the fuck that means. When was the last time they read a fucking biology textbook? Like, before we even knew what DNA was? You know what I mean? Like, so, like, again, how do we fix this problem of Americans being fucking stupid? Let's be honest. The only way is mandatory re-education. That's it. That's one of the only ways. But again, there's going to be enough people that are going to be resistant to that. They're going to be like, oh, the liberals are trying to educate me or whatever, blah, 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 right? So what do we do with those people, right? Well, we just, like, honestly, the most moral way to go about this is to just wait until they die, to contain them in some fashion and wait until they die off. Now, again, I'm not saying we kill them. Obviously, I'm not saying that, right? But again, boomers are more likely to be right-wing, right? Give it another 10 to 15 years. People like Donald Trump in that age range, right? That level of, like, they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone. So what we need to do is, again, we need to plug up the holes on the sinking ship and then just wait for the water to evaporate. Now, again, I would prefer to get the water out of the ship, but hey, waiting for it to evaporate, that's a compromise, right? So, I don't know. Think about it, though. Like, what other option is there? What other option is there to deal with these people? Like, I don't mind living my life walking around with people that disagree with me. That's fine. But when those people, quote unquote, disagree with me and their disagreement is advocating for my murder or my death or stalking me or making my life worse, I'm sorry, but that is not coexisting. That is not coexistence, right? Like, being trans in this country, like, oh my God. The same people that are in favor of freedom want to make it illegal for me to go to a doctor. Like, that's crazy shit, right? They want to commit a genocide of all transgender people. They want to make it so trans people aren't allowed to go to the doctor. They want to make it so trans people aren't allowed to out themselves unless, you know, for fear of going to conversion therapy, right? And this is a party of freedom. How can we coexist with this fucking shit, right? I don't know. I have no answer. I have none. All I know is I'm going to sit back and watch, because this fucking shit is going to get juicy. Holy fucking moly. Let me tell you, this country is not going to last another 10 years at this rate. 15 years maybe. But, like, we are fucked. And again, just to be very clear, not in the good dick way. We are not being fucked in any sort of pleasurable fashion whatsoever. There's no dicks involved, okay? And so that's a problem. We need to get more dicks involved, right? We need to bring back the good kind of fucking, and this country needs one of those, let me tell you. So, Jesus Christ. That's the news portion of the program today. You see what happened in Seoul at the Halloween Fest. They're showing body bags. Well, I did not see that. I'll look into it. Once again, I'm going to be doing at least a 3 or 4 hour stream. At least 3. I'm going to say minimum for tonight's stream, 3 hours minimum. I'm going to start it around 5 o'clock on twitch.tv. Going to be playing Resident Evil 8. I'm going to be consuming some alcohols. I'm going to be having a good time. So if you want to come in, we can talk about whatever. I don't mind. Come in, let's talk about Republicans. Come in, let's talk about Resident Evil. Let's talk about horror media. This next movie review, it's debatably a horror film. I'd say it stands for horror. I like the umbrella term of horror. Anything that is scary in any kind of way, psychologically, emotionally, visually, it's all horror as far as I'm concerned. I apologize, Rialan. Yesterday, I got fucked up. Yesterday, after the show yesterday, my allergy attack got worse. I literally, I could not see. My face was like watering, like my eyeballs, like I was fucked up. So I took some medication, I took a nap. I'm feeling fine now. If you want to talk about Birdemic, do it in the Twitch stream in 3-4 hours from now. Can we talk about meat if you want? I mean, I don't mind. You know, I'm always down to make fun of my chat room for being dumb, so it's always good. But once again, I will be playing Silent Hill 2 on Halloween night on Twitch.tv, so that's going to be a big deal for me. So I hope you show up. Do I have enough weed for 3 hours? I got enough weed for 3 years, motherfucker. I got I got enough. The correct love of the movie Alien 3. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, let's jump in. So once again, a couple movies I reviewed on the Spook Sixular, debatably horror. Some people would say it's not horror. Some people would say it's horror. I'm going to be talking about Pan's Labyrinth today. It is a Spanish film from director Guillermo del Toro, who made some other movies that I've seen, such as Mimic. But anyway, and, it is billed as like a psychological horror kind of movie, a dark fantasy kind of film. I think after watching this film, why not? It's horror. Now, again, my opinion on horror, does it evoke like any sort of emotion that is anywhere in the realm of fear or terror? And Pan's Labyrinth absolutely evokes those emotions. So it's a movie that takes place during the rise of fascism in the 1940s, I believe. And this movie takes place in Spain, I want to say. And it's about a young girl who has a mom who's pregnant, but the mom is the new wife of like the captain of the fascist army in that local region. And basically, the fascist wants to, just basically make her like a baby manufacturing plant, essentially. But the mom is sick, right? So she's trying to deliver this baby, right? But she's very sick. And so the young child is trying to find a way to make her, fixed or whatever. And she eventually stumbles into the forest nearby this encampment and sees like some magical creatures. And basically the magical creatures say, hey, we can heal your mom with some magic, all that kind of stuff. And but you got to do us a couple things. Also, by the way, you're like a moon princess, so that's cool. And this movie, it's awesome. Like, I'm going to be honest, it's awesome. Like, there's two kinds of movies taking place, right? Like, there's the child navigating this fascist kind of world where essentially Nazi soldiers, the equivalent in the Spanish region, are basically trying to control, they're fighting for resources with rebellious groups and all that kind of stuff, right? And, the thing I like about this movie is it starts off showing the main character, the 8-year-old girl, dead and dying, but then it rewinds and then, they show you the end first. And then, launches into the movie and she's like doing these side quests for like the magical creatures. And my favorite part of this film is, as you may expect, when she enters the Chalk Zone. Has anyone ever seen Chalk Zone? This movie came out after Chalk Zone, so I'm pretty sure that they got the idea from Chalk Zone, that motherfucker. But anyway, so she gets like a magical piece of chalk that like she draws on the wall and then enters like another magical realm where it's like some eyeball-less creature who's like sitting like just like we're talking about 100%, right? All of the visual stuff in that like section of the film, like the extravagant meal at the table, when it pans, like the art, no pun intended, pan, but when it pans through the room and you see all the art installations of this monster like eating children, and then you see the monster just sitting there at the table like motionless, that whole thing. And then that dumbass fucking girl ate one of the grapes and then the monster almost killed her, but like ate some of the fairies and shit. That's crazy shit, man. That was the best part of the movie for me. And I know like that's the most action, initially I was like, is there going to be more of that? But this movie is like, I would say this movie is like 80 to 90% a story about the war-torn country of Spain. And like, kind of like, again, the magical stuff. At the end, I just want to say, at the end, it kind of is revealed that like these magical creatures, either only the little girl can see them, or they don't exist. And one of the themes of the film is that the mother, before she dies, giving birth to the brother of this little girl, she keeps telling her, like, oh, you know, when I was a young person, I believed in magic, but magic's not real, right? So it kind of opens the movie up at the very end to, like, kind of like, is any of this real? Like, is she, like, a schizophrenic, or is this just her way of trying to stay sane? You know, she creates these other things. She wants her mother to feel better, so she creates like a universe where she can help, you know, and it creates this kind of unreliable narrator kind of thing. Was any of this real? Is she actually a moon princess? What the hell does any of that even mean? Right. So, and I really enjoy that. I think it's great. I think that all the extra characters, like the doctor, some of my favorite characters are the cooks, the women in the kitchen, that like constantly talk shit about the fascist captain, but like behind his back. I thought that was great. But again, you know, you have the rebellion groups, you have the spies, like this whole movie, there's so many layers to it, but I think it's really great. I think it's a great film. It's kind of like two movies happening at once. It's kind of like a little bit of a kind of like a look into, like, you know, the rise of fascism in Spain, and as well as how young kids would navigate that environment, right? Like, how would they navigate that environment? Like, they have to cope somehow. So yeah, some young kid creates a magical fantasy land and she dies happy knowing that, like, you know, she saved her brother or whatever, you know. And it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it. The deception in this movie is really good. Like the areas where you know that both of these people are enemies, but one's a spy, and you're, you know, like all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of layers to that. The deception is really good. The anxiety is really good, especially when the young girl is trying to rescue her brother, and she's navigating through like the fascist captain's like bedroom or whatever where the brother is. And trying to like hide from him, and he like comes close to sniffing her out. Like, again, you know, is this a horror film? Maybe not in the literal, like, most generic kind of sense, but again, it's a dark fantasy psychological horror, and again, it does a really good number of showing just like how fascism destroys people. I mean, again, like just the way that the groups interact with each other, you know, like there's the one scene where she is hiding underneath her mother's bed and she overhears a conversation with the fascist captain and the doctor saying, like, if you have to choose, save the baby instead of the mother. I don't care about the person. I don't care about the woman. I just wanted to be like a male child, essentially. Like, that's his whole thing, right? And so, like, you know, just showing the depravity of that kind of stuff. I love the scene when one of the maids, or the whatever she is, who's a spy, right? She's a spy for the rebellion, but she works with the fascists, you know, as a spy, and she leaks information. But she gets found out, and she's about to be tortured by the fascist captain, and then she has like a secret knife and she cuts his mouth open, like in the mouth, and then right, oh, and then like later on when the captain is like sewing his mouth back together, oh fuck, man. And then when he's trying to drink the alcohol but it leaks out the hole in his mouth, oh, right, that whole thing. Like, that was great. And she got away, too. Like, she almost got killed, but she got away, and that's great. And it's just a great movie. Damn, watch this fucking film. It's good. It's good. I like it. You'll like it. Is it in the most literal, direct sense a horror film? Maybe it's a little loosey-goosey on the definition, but I'd say, given the, the way that the monster that I mentioned looks, and, you know, the real monsters of the fascists, and, you know, I think that the whole thing, especially kids get killed, and it's just, you know, it's a war movie. You can make an argument that all war movies are horror movies when you really think about it, because they're the most realistic kind of horror the world's ever seen. But either way, it's a great fucking movie. I enjoy it. It is in Spanish, so you have to see it with subtitles. But, you know, again, I know some people are weird about that. Sometimes when I'm really high, I don't like to watch movies with subtitles, but, you know, some people are really weird about that. But either way, it's definitely worth a watch. I recommend it. Pan's Labyrinth, bada boom and bada bing. So there you go. That's the show. That's it. That's everything. But yeah, so I will be back on the Twitches for Resident Evil 8. I've been really enjoying Resident Evil 8, so show up. for that one in a couple more hours. You know, I'm going to try to be streaming around 5 o'clock-ish. So, Birdemic is its own category of, like, the best film ever, and then there's everything else, you know? Yeah, that's the show. Hopefully it was an action-packed program, a punchy program. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, QCOC, feel free to field them in my direction during the Twitch stream. That's right. That's right. Hold on to the questions. Open a notepad on your computer, whatever, on your phone. Save the question. Ask me the question later. So you got a couple hours to think of some. And that should be fun. So drink some nettles tea for your allergies. I'm fine. I'm fine. But thank you for worrying. But I'm fine. Don't worry about me. That's it. That's all I got. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go eat some breakfast and enjoy my day. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you don't show up to the Twitch stream, just know that I am judging you, but I hope you're doing something better regardless. And if you do show up, I'm also judging you in a positive fashion. So, will I breed Max? I mean, first of all, the language, will I breed Max? First of all, like, that's just gross. Like, will I breed him? No, I will not. Like, that's just disgusting. Second of all, he's not breedable. Third of all, I don't need to create more puppies. Anyway, anyway, have a good one, everybody, and come up with a better question for later, because that one was just,
And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup from my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
To figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Brandon, I agree.
No, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.